Oh, we're on live now.
We're online? Awesome.
Oh, I cannot see you. Oh yeah, I can.
I'm here. I'm here.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our crypto story episode 1. So, this is a brand new show that I would like to introduce to all of you. Hello, Melton. Hello. So, Melton is our
Hello, hello.
UIT, our first guest. So, what I'm planning is, there are amazing stories happening in this industry every day. People get their first bunch of wealth, and people also lost their money, make their wallet empty. So stories happens, and this is also a very good place because this is a place with transparent. As long as you have a good idea, people can see you. Class is not a problem here, so we can see people change their lives, being changed of their lives every day, and we would like to inspire you with these great stories. And even though today might not be as expected, but after all, tomorrow is another day. Do you know which the sentence comes from? Which movie?
Which movie?
This is a movie called A Gone with the Wind. Oh, it's a book also. And
Ah,
yeah, the hero once said, "After all, tomorrow is another day." So what I'm planning is, we can just be chill and have some wine. Unfortunately, I'm having a cold, so I'll be have my tea. Yeah. So cheers, cheers,
cheers.
cheers. Melton.
Thank you.
I met him in we met in Austin, and he has a great story. But remember that everything we talk about is not financial advice. This is so it's just a story and of Melton, and come to hear Melton's story. Hi, Melton. So first, would you like to give us a self introduction of you, some interesting facts of you? You can use three keywords.
Okay. So, again, thank you for having me on here. And like, it's an honor to be part of your first show here on Binance Live, and I'm so happy and honored to be able to share my story. So like three words, like to sum up, what I do in the crypto space. So I'm a connector, I am a educator, and I have been in the space for quite some time now, since January 2017. And it's been such a ride. Like 5 years in crypto is like 25 years
Yes, in
in,
the
yeah. So, seen so much, and I'm so blessed to even be part of this community and just add to this, beautiful community. So, I am also an investor, and that's how I got to the position that I am, to be able to be of value and be useful. So, like, yeah, those are
yeah.
three things.
So let me wrap up. So uh, Melton is a connector. He is also an educator as well as a problem solver. So uh, start from the very beginning of your story. I think the first time you heard about crypto, it was back to 2017. Is it the end of 2016 or the beginning of 2017? And how did you heard about the Bitcoin?
So like it was the very beginning of 2017. It was January of 2017. And basically I was homeless on the street in Atlanta,
Oh,
Georgia. And I got to that place, at a place where like I never went to Georgia before. I lost my identity. I didn't have like my documentation, and I just moved from New York City because I was promised a new job as a construction project manager. And so I lost all my identity. I only had my birth certificate and a 10-year-old expired passport. So
oh,
like lost my social, lost everything, And like I didn't know anybody, I didn't really have any support. And so me being me, after, finding out that the job that was offered to me was a dud, it didn't work out. I ended up actually going to a homeless shelter after a week because ended up spending my life savings. at the time, all on hotels and, eating out and, I didn't have much of a savings. Now looking back, I really didn't have much savings. And so I went through it so quickly because when you don't have any ID, right? Like when you're trying to get a hotel room, you need an ID. So I would actually have to ask strangers on the street, to see if they would help me out and get me a room. And I had to pay like triple what the room was worth because they were like, "Oh, I don't know. How am I supposed to trust you? You might mess up the room, and then I'm liable." So I ended up doing that, and there was no, kitchen for me to cook. So I ended up going out eating
Yeah. Why,
every day.
why didn't you go to the police station to get help?
So I did, and the thing was that it was like a catch-22, like I was stuck in the cracks because I needed certain documents that I lost in order to get the other documents that I lost. So it was really like no way that I would be able to, and I needed to through motor vehicles to try to see if I can get my ID, but they wouldn't give it to me. And so then I wanted to get my social security card, but I needed my ID, and then I also needed an address, which I didn't have,
Yeah,
so
without
it
you, that's
was
not for you to do anything here in the state.
100%.
Yeah. So,
Mhm.
so at that chance, as a homeless, I mean, we can tell that it's the bottom of your life till now, right? So how did you meet Bitcoin?
So, like, I ended up meeting Bitcoin. Like, okay, so I was staying at Atlanta International Airport for a few weeks, and because I didn't want to sleep I didn't want to go sleep at a shelter because as soon as I was walking into the shelter, it just smelled straight like urine. So I was not going to stay there. So I stayed at the airport, and a friend of mine's wife's best friend ended up asking me to come to Bucket, Atlanta. And so I went over there, and then she offered me to stay at her place for 6 months. And so the next day, I ended up finding a job as a waiter at a restaurant called Taverna Buckhead.
You still
And oh yeah, I remember everything like it was yesterday because these are so like important moments in my life, and I remind myself all the time like I recorded it. So I recorded my experience from when I was homeless till now. And so I do a lot of the recording, and I share on my Instagram. Bitcoin changed my life because I want my future children and my child to see, my story and to see the struggle and to see what it took for me to get to the place where I strive to be, to provide them a good life. And so I ended up walking home from getting my job, and this is 24 hours after I got a place to live. And I'm walking home from getting my job, and I'm walking, and I see a Chevron gas station on my way home. And there was a Bitcoin sticker from BitPay, and it said, "We accept Bitcoin here." And I'm like, "Whoa, what is that? I've seen that before." And so I walk inside and I ask the cash register cashier, and I'm like, "Hey, buddy, how do I buy Bitcoin? Like, how is it that I can pay you in it? Like, can you explain it to me?" The guy's like, "No, buddy, no, buddy, the machine." So then that's when I saw my first Bitcoin ATM. And
uh
this was January of 2017.
yeah. So your first Bitcoin is because you saw it on the street and you went to it's actually an ATM machine. Is the machine still
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, it is. I actually have taken another video of it for like my personal, content.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's still there. And I once, if the ATM company sponsors me or something, I'll mention who it was.
Okay. So
Uh,
the thing is, we see advertisements every day on the street, and however, uh, why when you see it and then you just decide that it's a great thing?
oh, it's just I knew. Like it's like when I first saw Bitcoin was back in 2010. So
Hmm.
I was actually one of the protesters in Occupy Wall Street over there in New York City. And during this time, I overheard some people yelling out, "Down with the banks, we're creating our own system." And so I walked up to the table and I see a laptop open, and then I saw the Bitcoin.org website. It was orange with green, and it was the Bitcoin Manifesto, the white paper, right? And then I was interested during these days, and I was like, "What? This is interesting, like digital money," because I was really interested because of PayPal. PayPal was allowing for people to make payments, like at Home Depot, or like Subway, in certain places with your phone. So to me, it made sense. Electrical money, was going to be ease of use. So then I end up uh, seeing somebody say some other coin, like color coins. And then I was like, what? Anybody can make a coin. So I thought there was no value in it. So then I
Yes. Hi. The internet is not that stable. Hello, Milton. Oh, we just lost Milton. So, Milton believes that blockchain is here to stay is because it works. It is the evolution of the foundation of our society and the solution to many problems in the modern world. So, while I was chatting with Milton before, he actually told me that he has dreamed about Bitcoin, something, some ecosystem just like Bitcoin, even when there is not Bitcoin. So it's like someone made his dream comes true. Would you like to give us
It was.
explain about this part?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes. So I
Awesome.
remember you told me that you have dreaming about this kind of things, and then you saw it, like someone makes your dream come true. I think that's so
Oh
brilliant.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
I really like to know
100%.
the logic behind it. Why you think this will work?
So like I thought that it would work because it was making life so much easier. It was so convenient. It was ease of use. The same feeling that people had when they had debit cards or the credit cards. So I knew it was the next level. So I ended up unfortunately, or fortunately for me, I ended up being incarcerated for 4.5 years. And after I discovered Bitcoin, and after like I had the idea, that um, PayPal or digital money was going to be the future. So I even wrote about it, like around those days in one of my posts on Facebook. So it's timestamped and everything. So then while I was incarcerated, I kept dreaming. I kept dreaming of something like a portal where we wouldn't need banks and it would be digital and we would own it and we would have ownership over our assets, and we were able to just take out loans and we were able to do all these things without these intermediaries. And I called it We the People. I called it WTP. And I actually wrote about it while I was in prison. And the way that people copyright things in prison is you write yourself a letter, right? So the postal service timestamps it, and then when you get home, that is a record of what you wrote this at that time period because it's officially from the post office.
Mhm.
So I ended up coming home, and I see Bitcoin at this Bitcoin ATM, some like a few years later, and I was like, wow. I saw this Bitcoin ATM and I was like, yo, the last time I seen this was some protesters in New York, just talking about an idea, and now it's here at this gas station, and all the way in Georgia. So I'm just like, I'm blown away, and I'm looking at this modern ATM, flat screen, like a big screen, and it was touch screen, and it looked so new, and it was next to the old ATM, the US dollar ATM. And like, to me, I've never seen any other type of ATM in the United States other than US dollar ATMs. So this blew my mind. So I knew I was early on to something because of the way the cashier was just talking about it, like, like he didn't know enough. But I like it clicked. I'm like, I'm early on to something. And then I followed the instructions. Yeah, you was gonna say?
Yeah, I was trying to say that you mentioned that you're early on something that is great because we all know that back to 2017 is the time of It's the year of ICO, and yes, 2017 is earning on something, but right now it's like the world is hearing about Bitcoin. So everything has its two sides. When we're talking about the profit, when we're talking about the great opportunities, however, we're still early in this industry, but still there are risks behind it. Even though when it comes to 2017, before 2017, there's a couple of years that is the whole market is silent. So uh, there's a saying that when we want to trade something, we buy it when it's quiet and we sell it when everybody talks about it. However, right now is I think the world talk about it. So would you like to mention some about the risks behind the cryptocurrencies? Are there any stories of you that you've seen the risks or you've lost some of your fortune because of the lack seeing of the risks?
Oh, of course. So one of the biggest risks for anybody is to invest their money into something that they don't understand. You know,
Yeah,
like
understand.
that is 100%, something that no one should do. You should, the first, like people ask me all the time, what should I invest my money in? Where do I put my money in, Milton? And the first thing that I always respond is invest in your education. Invest into understanding what it is that you're interested in investing in, and then learn as much as you can, security and everything, because in this space it's unforgiving. If you don't really do your research on security, well, you are playing Russian roulette because any day a hacker can come and take everything out of your wallet. So, and also it could just be your fault. Like one of my one something that I did. So like I invested in IOTA, early on.
I know.
And IOTA was a very like promising, project and everything. And I had bought like 100,000 coins, before it was way less than $1. And so like I had 100,000 coins and I did the stupidest thing. Because I didn't do my research, I thought setting up the wallet was the same exact thing as setting up a Bitcoin wallet because it's blockchain. So I'm thinking, that it's all the same. But what I did was because the IOTA wallet during those days had a seed phrase and then a seed password phrase. So then what I did was I thought that I just, needed to know the seed phrase in order to access it. So I end up deleting, one of the key things, the passwords to be able to get to unlock my wallet. And then I broke my phone and I couldn't access my wallet again. So I lost out on that 100,000. IOTA, I watched it go over $1.
Oh my.
And, I was like, oh, that could have been, that could have been something. But yeah, every time though, I end up, taking it as, okay, that was the price for the lesson, you know,
That's the
like,
lesson.
yep, and it's an expensive price to pay.
Yeah.
Um,
Saying that failure is the mother of succeed. Yeah.
oh yeah,
So we get into failures because life is always up and down, but actually when my life is going so smooth, I feel nervous because I don't know what's the bad thing will come. But when the bad thing comes to me and I think I can handle it, I feel a bit of sense of the secure. So
oh yeah.
yeah, we need to
I
see
feel like
the
failure is the best teacher because, like me, like I was never scared to fail. Like I was scared, but not like, oh no, I'm not gonna do it. Let me just conform. Let me just be normal. Like growing up, I was always like scared that I was gonna end up being normal and living a normal life, and that I would just have a skin deep love for life, because I would never take risks, or I would just go and do what everybody else was doing, you know? So like yeah, I feel like people should be more comfortable or open to failing because then you know what you're made of because you're going to overcome it. It's going to go by. It's temporary, the pain, the sorrow, the like the whole feeling and everything that you would go through, the whole situation, it's always temporary, and tomorrow's another day.
yes. Yes, and after all, tomorrow is another day. And as you have mentioned, just to wrap up. So don't invest anything that you don't understand, and we need to learn. We need to be educated. So how do you learn? Like, how do you learn? I don't know. Can I ask? So did you, maybe you have a university degree or anything? Um,
No, like me personally, like I didn't graduate high school. I didn't go to university. I
Educated when you want
Pardon?
to. How do you learn when you want to learn something?
Oh yeah, so I have a different approach now. But
Yeah,
during the days, starting off homeless
yeah,
and during those days of when I was working, because I was working like double shift, 7 days a week for 11 months, and so like I barely had any time. And I hear people today like, oh, I have kids, or oh, I have work or anything like this. I don't really have the time to study. Well, I really didn't have the time to study as well because I was always working, and I wasn't working a sit down job. I was a waiter and I was a construction worker. And I was working like all day. I lived at work. So I would literally just always, every moment that I had, like it's free, like during, in between
your
tables or in
questions.
between doing things, or yeah, like I would always just be watching the market. I would look at YouTube channels like Crypto News with Omar Bam, or I would watch Ken Bozak, or I would watch, Tai Zen from Cryptocurrency Market Channel, the first crypto channel on YouTube. And I would just watch these people, and I would just try to just like get everything that I can, and I would research everything that I could, and I would look on CoinMarketCap, and I would just go and one by one just research everything in depth. And then, I even took a week off because my manager told me that I couldn't keep working all those hours. So I took a week off, and I dedicated the whole week into learning and and what I did was I would go online, I would go on Cointelegraph, I would go on CoinDesk, I would look at different articles, I would go to Barnes and Nobles, and I would go check out the magazines. There was blockchain magazines, there was finance magazines talking about crypto, and I was looking at, okay, like these magazines have crypto and blockchain in them, and I would literally sit there at Barnes and Nobles and I would go through all these magazines, and like it was easier during those days, in my opinion, because I feel like nowadays it's a lot harder because people don't know where to look because there's so much information now and there's so many news outlets, and it gets confusing for a lot of people. They just don't know where to start. And like there's so much half information, half truths, there's misinformation, there's these Twitter accounts, influencers, all these gurus that are just misguiding people for their own benefit. And
Yes.
it's harder for people today, especially the learning curve. The space grew a lot. So I was blessed to be able to be in an environment where it wasn't so saturated. There wasn't so many people. There wasn't so many news outlets. And
Yeah.
so because of that, they were held accountable. And they stayed reputable because they knew that the audience that they were catering to were not dumb,
Yeah.
and it's a small community.
That 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 early stage is actually a good period because what we call, I think it's called the rate of information and noise. Today, the ratio of information and noise. Today we have more noise, so we need to be having a clearer eyes so that we can recognize which are the right info and which are those misleading info. And actually, I want to recommend you. Do you know Binance Academy? Actually, it's
Yeah,
something
I did look. I
that
did look at it when I was looking for how I was gonna find this live stream.
so actually, Binance Academy is something like LinkedIn Learning, but it's for the crypto knowledge. And yes, that's great. And actually, I think what you just said, like your experience, reminds me of what is Elon Musk once said. He thinks people don't need college to learn stuff. College is for fun, it's not for learn. And I really like your story that you said you just watch YouTube channels and you read you read magazines and you read articles. So all these things they're for free. So actually, even though you were at a very busy working days, you still you still read and you still think. I think thinking is one
Yeah.
of the most important things what we should do to get understand so that we can invest things we understand.
Yes. Mm. But that was during those days. Like I said, like my technique changed. The way that I learned changed over time.
How do you do right
So
now?
So like now I go direct since I have the network now, and I have the relationships. Now I go directly to the C-suite. I go directly talking to the team. I go directly to looking at their decks. I go, and check out, things in person. I go to conferences. I go to events, but I don't go as a spectator. I go as a guest, you know, and that
Yeah,
allows me to connect with a lot more people. So like the evolution of my education and the way my technique changed. So in 2018, right after I made a good amount of money, you know, I decided that I could only learn so much online. You can only learn some. Everyone says, yo, you can learn anything online. You can learn everything online. That is not the case. That is very limited because the thing is, when you're online, you are getting the information that everyone else is getting fed as well. Your
yeah,
information pool is the same in everyone else's. So if you want to have, success that everyone else cannot attain or don't have, then you need an edge. Every investor needs some type of advantage. We have to do something differently than the rest. So what I learned was show up in person. So I went to my first conference. I was invited to my first conference because I was already known online, by the influencers because I was always on the lives. I was always leaving comments. I was always, providing value for free online, you know? And so like the influencers were shouting me out and everything. And so then I got my first invite to my first conference in San Francisco. It was Neo DevCon
oh, when
in
was it?
2018. It was
Oh,
January of 2018.
oh, it's just
So
one year to get to know Bitcoin.
yep.
Yeah, you got great progress. Yes, and then what
Yeah.
what happened on the on your first show up?
Oof, I was so nervous because I was just like, I'm gonna really like, I've never done anything like this before. Like my background, I've never done anything like that at all, ever in my life. And so I was like, okay, how can I be of value? Like I was very self-conscious because, I didn't have traditional education. All these people were so, accomplished and they were striving to do some amazing stuff with their projects and affecting so many people, raising so much money, you know. So then I was a little intimidated, but I didn't let that stop me. I went in and I said, you know what technique am I going to use to really be able to just like add value and not just look like just some other person, just the fanboying out of something or trying to take something from them. So I said, I took out my phone. I went to Best Buy. I bought a microphone to attach to my phone. And so I go and I started going to every booth at the conference and I
Yeah,
talked to the C-suite. I'm like, hey, can I record you? Like, like, say whatever it is that you want people to hear, you know? So then they would just start and I'd be like, okay, and then they would introduce themselves. And then that's how I ended up starting to, see with my own eyes, who these people were. I get to ask them questions and look them in their eyes and feel their energy and see, because I feel like I'm a pretty good, judge of character or reading people, So by being there and asking them questions that you don't see in interviews, that you don't see, I'm getting information that's valuable, you know. And so that helped me learn a lot faster to see which projects were really the ones that, had good teams, which projects were really like making noise in the space, and also the talks on stage. I was able to be in the crowd front row because not everybody goes front row. Everything I didn't do in school, I started doing at conferences, you know?
yes. So
So
first, yeah. So first, you try to think about what value you can provide. So then you realize that you can be a you can have a microphone too. like be a voice conveyor, and then you get a chance by adding this value, you get a chance to talk to them face to face and see the energy of their eyes, and then you get to learn more. So you get to, yeah, I always feel like because of the pandemic, we are working from home, everyone is seeing each other online. So although the technology has giving us this chance to still talk with people and see with the people you want to see, but still I think getting in touch offline is quite different. Yep,
Oh yeah,
I
definitely. Because when you're in person, you're getting information before the public, you know. So like your information source is a lot different. So when you get information before the public, even though it is public information, but they're telling you in person before the media gets it, you know, you have an edge. You have an advantage. You can have first mover advantages. And also things that they give out at conferences, like ontology. That same conference, my first conference that I went to, right? I went and they gave me an airdrop of
Mhm.
500 ontology tokens just for showing up. And then they
Oh.
gave an additional 500 for signing up for their newsletter. So that was a
Mhm.
thousand ontology for free. And then ontology went up over, I think, $4, you know. So like it was free, thousands of dollars just for showing up. And that's when I learned when you show up, there's advantages, there's benefits, you know, not just the information, but the rewards. And then as time started going on, like 6 months later, that's when I realized, wow, I know a lot of cool people. I'm in rooms with people that other people would kill to be in rooms with them. And then I saw my first billionaire. And then I'm like, why is this guy even here? Like, I'm just like, why is he here? He can go and just like be in a beach for the rest of his life or stay at home or enjoy the rest of his life. He doesn't need to be here working. So then I thought, why would he be here? And then I was like, oh, it's because he needs something. So then, while I'm watching everybody going up to him, trying to take, or trying to like just be sneaky and just try to like, like build like weird relationships with him, I was like, yo, I'm gonna walk up to him and I'm just gonna do the opposite. So I walked up to him and I said, hey, what do you need? How can I be of value? Why are you here? And then the guy's like, what? And then he was like, well, I need this, this, and this. And then I was like, oh, I know somebody. I know somebody that can help you, like solve that problem, and they're reputable. So I go, boom, I left, and then I connect them,
So
and
this
then
is
that's
how
when,
people. So
yeah,
you
that's
a problem solver. You just adding values for free, and you in exchange you get a chance to know more people to learn from them. Is that correct? And I
yeah,
think you have also mentioned that you are an evangelist of Bitcoin at the very early stage. Like you talk about Bitcoin on the bus, in the metro, on your way home. So actually, I kind of want to back to the question, like, why? I think there are some people, they are an evangelist at the very early stage of the Bitcoin. And what they told me at that stage, they told me you must read the white paper of the Bitcoin. Have you ever read it?
yeah. I've read it. I didn't memorize it. I didn't tattoo it on my mind, but I did get the gist of it.
I think
And
that may
it's
I know, like,
important.
yeah, at what point, like what logic behind the Bitcoin that makes you think it will be the economic system of the future?
Because it works, you know, like it's just the whole part, of the, decentralization part was just genius to me. When I first heard about Bitcoin, like when I first saw it, and I fell down that rabbit hole. Like
Mhm.
when I first discovered Bitcoin at that ATM, I put in $20. I got $17 worth back. It was so easy to do, you know. And I end up, going back home and I'm studying, and then I knew what blockchain technology was, and I end up, you know, um, going down the rabbit hole, I see use cases. When I first learned about Bitcoin and blockchain, I was just like, you can use this, for that, for this, that, and the third.
Yeah,
So because it's useful, I
yeah.
knew that it was going to be successful,
You think
you
that
know?
not only affect the economic system of the future, but it will change the way we interact and exchange value. Like the digital world now has a key element that has been missing, which is digital scarcity. With digital scarcity, we can rely on a trustless layer to our reality. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and it allows for all types of people to have abilities that they did not have available to them before, which is digital independence.
Digital
And
independence.
yes, I
Because,
think
it's so important. We're living in this age, you know? Like, I've seen the internet and everything, from a perspective of being the young generation who pioneered, the internet and gaming and cell phones and all these social media platforms and everything. I remember a world before the internet, like, in my area, in my life, because I got a computer a little later on than most people. So, yeah, I saw that this is the future immediately. You know, I
yeah,
knew that it was something that we needed. It was the next step. Digital scarcity. That just makes sense. We need that, and we have the technology to do it. And it was blockchain and Bitcoin. I feel like Satoshi was a genius because it's like he wanted to change the whole internet, and then he was like, "Wait, we have an internet that works, so, people are not gonna just want to just switch over from the one internet to the other just because they can own this, that, and the third, and have privacy." He was just like, wait, let me just showcase a use case for it that is really important that no one can ignore. And then that will help for adoption, for creating the new Web3. And he was like, oh, what's the most important thing that we could use this use case for? Money. And so it just all made sense that day.
yes. And I think you have mentioned like there's a point that you realize that digital payment would replace traditional payment in the future. However, I for my generation, I didn't have that much memory about people using cash. I think when I think PayPal is when I was a teenager and we started to have it. And before I was a teenager, I didn't have that much chance to spend money by myself. So I didn't see like the big difference, but I can imagine life without without digital payment. Like I sometimes travel, and although I cannot travel back to the past, but I can travel to those countries that they don't have digital payment yet. And when I'm there, like life is much less convenient for me. So I think back to 2010 when PayPal introduced in-store digital payments at Home Depot and other physical locations. You knew that digital payments were the future, right?
Yeah, because it was so convenient. It
Yeah,
was so convenient.
yeah. Like you just need to have a phone, open up. You can so much many possibilities that the
And I
future.
knew that people And
Mhm.
I knew people were gonna use it, pardon me. I knew that people were gonna use it because it's like I started spending more money than I normally would. And I didn't
Yeah,
even have money. So me being poor at that time and me wanting to spend money just because of the ease of use, and then the PayPal button, on websites. So like it allowed me to spend money easier, and me, subconsciously I was spending money that I didn't have.
yeah. So it will be a great tool if it can encourage people to do more. Well, I mean, at least it will be a great tool for the economy. So, uh, we have mentioned that you educate and help people in Web3 as a problem solver. And you have also talked about how do you educate yourself, past and now. And we believe that education is one of the most important things here. So, uh, Do you think like the past, now, and future education is always the most important thing?
100%. So education is definitely 100% the most important thing, because you have to know, like you should be aware. Like me, one of the reasons why I understood Bitcoin so quickly was because I understood money. When I was incarcerated, I was always in the library, and I was obsessed with money. And I looked up the history of money, how money works, and everything while I was in prison. So, because of this understanding of how things work, Bitcoin only made sense, to me when I got out. So, education is extremely important, especially asking the right questions. So, um, like I feel like now, the technique that I'm using for the past, 5 years, 4 years, 4.5 years, I've been hosting VIP dinners
Yeah.
in crypto and traditional finance all around the world.
Mhm.
And my thesis for this and why I did it, I was connecting people at a high level, problem solving at a high level by connecting people and leveraging my network, you know, and I've been doing this for free the whole time for this entirety. I paid for everything, and I was built. The reason why I was doing this was because I wanted to learn directly from the people creating the future, while building meaningful relationships with them by providing free value. You know, so that I was really searching. Like, see, this was my education and my thought process the whole time. And the thing was that I've been searching for a project, right, that gave me the same feeling that I had when I discovered Bitcoin. And for 5 years, I've been looking all around the world for this. And like this year, this is why I stopped doing my events, stopped doing my dinners and everything, because I finally found it, you know. And this is the only reason that I would even be able to find this project, which is called Hyperlens, was because I was educating myself. I was going in person. I've got so many decks. I got thousands of decks. I have thousands of projects that are always asking me to advise, and they're always asking me to help raise money and all this stuff. But I really don't, because if I don't believe in your project, or it doesn't give me that feeling that I had when I discovered Bitcoin, I cannot attach my reputation or my name to it, So yeah, like, because of education, because I took my time to educate myself, do my due diligence and everything, it allowed me to be a part of a project that I feel is like one of the projects that the world is going to remember me for.
Yes. So I think like to conclude, we can understand it like this. So never invest something you don't understand, and the way you understand it is to do research and learn about it. But in different time period, there are different ways to learn. You always think about the ratio of information and noise, and you need to understand the logic behind it, and by yourself. Yes, and then you can make the decisions by yourself. So never be too FOMO. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Don't trade with your emotions. Don't invest with your emotions. Be
Yes.
really, like, ask the right questions. Like me, I ask, does the project really need a coin? Like, the problem that it's supposed to
Yes.
be solving, does
Yeah.
it is it can it only be solved with a coin?
Yeah.
Like, if the answer is it could be solved in other ways, then maybe that isn't the best solution. Maybe, why not use another thing, and then you can ask, what are their why? Is it really a money grab? Who's the
Yes.
team? What's the reputation?
Yes.
Ask
And
the
you need,
right questions.
yes, and I really like the question is, does it really need a coin? Because there are some projects, they are FOMO projects, they don't need a coin, but they did rise for the price of the tokens for a while, but then they just crashed. And how come, even if you buy something that it raised in the future, but how come you sell it at the high point? So if it's not value investment, I actually like in the end you'll get to some place that it crashed. I mean, even though Bitcoins come up and down, but because the logic behind it makes sense. So like if we see it in 5 years, Bitcoin is like down is only a short period. I actually kind of like the bear market because bear
Yeah.
market it washes the bad projects out and it keeps
Oh
those
yeah.
that make sense. And how do you
100%.
see the industry like past, now, and future? How do you see it?
Ooh, like the industry, ooh, it's changed so much. Like I'm an infrastructure guy. Like I love to invest into infrastructure, because it's so early on right now. It doesn't make sense to me why I would invest into applications when there's still a lot of infrastructure to be built in this space. And I understood that from the beginning. It's been 5 years. Still, I think it's still extremely early to be investing myself, into applications when they still need a lot of infrastructure. So, um, back in the day, in 2017, the space was so different. There was a lot more opportunity too. Regulation and everything, changed the whole atmosphere in the industry. Like I was able to, as a non-accredited investor, invest into ICOs and before July of 2017. Then everything changed. And then it made it so that a person like myself in the United States who wasn't an accredited investor wasn't allowed to invest into, ICOs and early stage, investments, which is the highest yielding, investments in the space, you know. And the reason behind it is they're saying that we're not responsible. Like we don't know enough to be able to, invest our money responsibly, and that was such a slap to the face, especially coming from a person who, is not traditionally educated, who was poor 28 years out of 33 years of my life, working class, poor, I went through all those different classes and I'm not dumb. It's basically saying that I won't be able to manage my own money and succeed, and I'll just throw away my money and cry about it or something. You know, like that is not the case. So after they did that, a lot of the innovation in the United States has changed and a lot of the opportunity changed, but it gave a lot of opportunity for the rest of the world. The rest of the world didn't, you're not regulating, ICOs and the people, around the world to not be able to invest in ICOs. So a lot of people in developing countries and other countries were able to just benefit from that. So early on the industry, it was a lot of something cool that has been great and consistent this whole time is the community. The community is so welcoming. It's so supportive of each other. Everybody is giving each other information. Everybody wants to be like, oh, wait, you're doing that? I know somebody you should meet. Like,
Yeah, every time on conference.
right? It's just so that's how we met, like
Yeah, I think Tony mentioned like you should mail Mel.
Tony.
Yes, yes. And then we just
Yeah,
met.
Tony is amazing. But that's just how a lot of people meet. We meet through other people because the community is so welcoming, so giving, so supportive. I've never been a part of a community like this. And like that's something that's consistent this whole time. You know?
Yeah. But we
Like
still mention that although the community is welcoming, I mean, right now, 90% of the projects they are
they're scams.
welcoming for a reason. They're scam. We always want to mention the risks behind the uh, behind this prosperity
Oh
because
yeah, 100%.
again, would you like to talk about like the risk again, like involve
Yeah, of course.
cryptocurrencies, like the 90% of all cryptocurrencies, as
There's
you have
so
told
many.
me. Yeah,
There's so many. Like I've seen the top 100 or top 10 cryptocurrencies on CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko change so many times. So
yeah,
like don't like I would not tell people to just like be like, oh, just invest in the top 20, because the top 20 can change. And
yeah.
there's some scam projects on there too. Just because they have a lot of funding, just because they have a good brand, just because they have a community, it doesn't mean that
They
they
make
are a good investment.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean, huh?
it doesn't mean that they make sense. The product makes sense.
Exactly. There's so many projects out there that don't make sense. Like for me, like Ripple, was my second investment. It was
Mm.
my second investment after Bitcoin. You know why I invested in Ripple?
No.
Is because I understood blockchain technology and I knew that that was not it. I knew that was not it. So I knew the psychology of people. I knew that when the new people came in that didn't take their time to understand blockchain and cryptocurrencies and why they even exist and what their use is for, you
They
know,
just
then,
fast. However, sometimes slow is fast because you might take
pardon?
some. Well, people, if there are people don't do research and they just invest because they just want to be fast. But however, sometimes slow is fast because you take some time to do the research. It may seem like you're slower than other people, but then it's actually is faster because you understand you invest with a clear brain with a clear.
Yes, you get to move faster because you know the course, the shortcuts, all that stuff. It's really important. Education is really important because you could avoid so many tragedies. And like, so I knew psychologically that people, when they heard, oh, this is a bank coin, so they're going to think, oh, bank, oh, this is safe. We use banks. Banks have all the money. So they're just going to be like, oh, they're going to FOMO in and invest into Ripple when it's not even a cryptocurrency. And XRP and Ripple are two different entities, two different things. And so I invested into them and in having this, and then at less than a penny. And then I sold it at $2.75. So like, and I had no attachment. And that's the thing. Tribalism, you know, there shouldn't be any tribalism when it comes to your investments. You're not married to your investments. Like, like,
When you sell, you sell. You don't.
exactly. Like, you're in it to make money. You don't be greedy. If you made good profit, take it out. Don't get stuck in that mentality where it's like, it might keep going up. It might keep
Yes,
going up. Because then you can lose everything because somebody else is going to be like, oh, this is a good time, dump. And they sell. And then, we see this happen all the time.
there is also a saying that in China it's called when you are eating a do you know the uh sugar cane? When you are eating a sugar cane, you don't eat it from the top, the beginning to the to the end. So it's like uh, when the market is raising, you don't earn from the you don't buy it from the lowest and sell it at the highest. You just earn a middle of it. So don't be too greedy, and don't get too yeah don't marry to your investment.
Yeah,
This
and like that even goes for Bitcoin, Like me personally, like to me, Bitcoin is, for me, I'm not saying this for everybody else. For me, it makes sense because I know I'm learning the macro perspective of what's going on. And Bitcoin is not my biggest investment. It's not my biggest holding, right? But I will still be honest and say there is way more risk in altcoins, alternative coins. They are all experiments. And some experiments are looking like they're successful, but at the end of the day, there is a lot of risk. My biggest holding is Ethereum, but I am not ever going to tell anyone to invest in Ethereum because I know that there's a risk that it can go to zero, you know?
yeah.
So because of this, I will never ever recommend anyone to invest into things that can be risky, you know? There is a lot of risk, especially if you're talking small time frames. Now, I always think in the macro perspective, of the next 10 years. And if I'm thinking to myself, okay, Bitcoin's at 20,000 today, right? In 10 years, it's possible that it will be at $100,000. It's possible. So that is a 5x guarantee. So why would I go and risk all my money investing into a bunch of different things that I don't understand? You know? So like go for understanding. Understanding is everything when it comes to investing. Timing is everything. You know, timing is so important. And just don't hold on to investments and sell. Sell, sell, sell. Because life is too short. And if tomorrow you're hodling, right? Like I'm a hodler, right? But I still spend some of my money. Like the reason why is because if I die tomorrow, all that crypto that I have hodled onto, I can't enjoy it, you know? So what am I gonna do? I'm going to use it today in order for me to enjoy my life and to affect other people and to be of value and use in this world. Because if I wait till tomorrow when Bitcoin goes up to 100,000, 500,000, whatever it ends up being, you know, it's not promised. It doesn't mean that I'm gonna be here, you know.
Actually, sometimes I put our current time of period in history, and let's say 1,000 years later, will there still be Bitcoin? Well, in my mind,
No.
definitely no, because what currencies people used to use 1,000 years ago, like we don't use it right now. But obviously, we will not be living for 1,000 years, so it doesn't matter if it's not going to be there. But still, if we make a small, 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 like micro view of point, we see that 5 years, what projects are still, what coins still exist, like what tools people are still using, like that is created in 5 years ago and people are still using today.
So, like I said, like infrastructure. Infrastructure is everything in my eyes. Like tools being useful. If you listen to this, over again, this whole interview, I am stressing the fact that I love to be useful. I like to invest into things that are useful. And to me, as an investor, you know, things that are useful will be used.
Yeah.
Things that are solving problems will keep solving those problems and they will be used. So this is why I like infrastructure projects, like
Yeah.
tools. Like for instance, like Hyperlens is like right now there's a problem, right? So like
Fundamental.
everyone likes AR,
Yeah.
right? So like augmented reality applications, they can't communicate with each other, they can't transact value, so then the project that ends up allowing for that to happen, to create those tools for people to create anything over, physical world or something, as simple as, Instagram Reels or like TikTok, those tools, they like we see these creator communities growing. Like this is the trend. Like that's why people who weren't video editors or content creators, because Instagram and TikTok made the tools to do this so easily, you know, people have started doing it. The community of creators started to grow. So I feel like if you create the tools, it will be used until better tools are created, you
Yes.
know?
I actually was trying to say Binance because recently it was our 5 years anniversary, and this is the tool that people are using from
Yeah.
5 years ago till now.
Congratulations, Binance. Shout outs to Binance. Five
And
years.
yeah,
CZ, hit me up.
we are
So,
actually
like,
not only a platform right now, we are a platform of platforms. Uh,
mhm.
I'm so proud of being a Binance. I'm so proud to stay here. Yeah, actually. And just to wrap up, I think we still have 2 minutes just to wrap up today. Thank you so much, Melton, and to be my first guide of this crypto story. I actually, after I've posted our poster, like many of my friends came to me. They texted me that, oh, I love that guy. I love Melton. So, um, again, why would I want to start this series of show? Because this market has been shaken recently. Not only this crypto market, but also the world. We are seeing we're seeing some some small wars happen, and we are seeing people suffered. I used to think that this whole world has nothing to do with me. I used to think that a human a civilization has nothing to be with me. However, uh, recently, some of my the singers I cooperate with, they donate some of their NFTs to Binance charity, and they choose a project. They choose to support uh, the environment, and some singers choose to support children, to support the meals, so that they can have dinners. So I believe. So I suddenly realized that even though I may not be able to change human civilization, uh, but uh, far, far away in the world, and many people out there, they are all related with me, and I believe that although there are scams in this industry that we always want to avoid, however, we cannot live in a risk-free world. We can only do risk control. So the way we control risk is we learn more, we think
Yes.
more, so that we can, as you said, we can be educated more, so that we can understand the logic. We think if it makes sense, and before we make any investment decision. So I really hope that in this time of this emotional tension, I can inspire my audience with some stories from around the world. And today may not as expected because history just keeps repeating. And after all, tomorrow is another day. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mike, for life. I'm seeing my audience; they're commenting. Thank you, Mountain. Thank you, Ricky, Kaniawan. Thank you, Zelis. Thank you, Christic Villarin. Thank you, Dentron. Thank you, Binance user C2043. He said, "Thank you for your time and sharing your story to Mountain." And
Thank you guys.
is 0909. Thank you. Bonjour, Ipario. We got uh, yes, we got audience from all around the world. And thank you, Rainier. Thank you. Good morning, Taklam. Yes, I am so happy that we are having this show. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chromos. He said always good to learn. Thank you, everyone, actually. Thank you, Grey Adam. Thank you, Binance user
Thank you.
F9C9A. Thank you so, so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Komyo199. Thank you, Binance user 04A60. So thank you, Melton,
Thank
again.
you guys.
I
Thank
really,
you. And
I
I
really,
just wanted to say real quick, because I wanted to touch on what you were saying about community and everything. And, something other than education is community, communication. If the more that we unite, because we all have a lot more in common than we do, we have a lot more common than we do the beautiful differences. And if we keep, thinking about the things we have in common, and we keep building community and communicating with each other, then we will see who the bad actors are. It gets a lot easier. And then we don't have to be scared of each other. We don't have to be not trusting each other if we get to know each other. Because I see a lot of people in this world, they're yelling out to be understood. I want you to be understood, but they're not taking the time or having the patience to understand the next person that's across from them. And
yeah,
so I feel like this is important. And, this is so great to see what's happening with all these, because you mentioned that there's a lot of wars and a lot of things going on, a lot of problems around the world right now. And one of the things that I see is that's beautiful that's coming from this is, like, for example, what's happening in Ukraine is very unfortunate and everything. But here in Lisbon and all around the world, I'm watching as all these people in blockchain that were over there in Ukraine that didn't know each other. Now they are in these foreign countries settling and everything, and now they get to know each other. And they're building community and they're organizing and they're helping each other and they're building this new community that is really beautiful in blockchain. And I feel like this is our opportunity, during all these crises to really come together and really just build something, because the old world is over. Now it's time to build a new. And together we would be having input, we'll have input on how the new world will look and it would run, instead of just accepting, what these elites, are giving to us, you know. So
Yes.
thank you again. Thank you everybody who is watching.
Yes.
And please follow me on Instagram
Yeah.
on Bitcoin that changed my life. You can
Yes.
reach out to me at milton@hyperlens.io, and you can look me up on LinkedIn. I am open to communication and everything. And, I just want to be useful and I'm here to serve.
I really like your attitude, and thank you all of our 8,000 audience for today. And
Oh,
thank
oh yeah,
you.
and by the way, I have a lot of impersonators right now, so I will never be in your DMs asking for you for money or anything like that. Please make sure that it's the right account on Instagram. It's Bitcoin, period, changed with ED, my life. Okay?
Yeah. So always remember the risk. And at the end, what I want to do is everyone, even though we are at a changing market right now, but let's please enjoy it. Put ourselves in the flow, and close your eyes with me and take a deep breath. Yes, and let's be grateful that we can still see the world with our eyes. We can still taste the food with our tongues, and just be grateful that at least today we're still safe. And thank you so much. It's so good to meet you, even though it's virtually meet all of our audience.
Mhm.
And be grateful and be helpful. And even though we are at a um, changing market, but still, it's a good thing because it will wash the bad peoples out, and we will have a brand new world with more good people. That's what we hope. And that's why we have charities to help more people. Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
And there's a lot more in the travels that I've traveled. In my experience, there's way more good people out there than bad. So have
Yeah.
hope. Have hope.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Every,
Have a good night. Have a good rest of your life.
mm,
Bye.
bye.